In a dense forest, Drasa wakes up the moment she hears a plane approaching overhead. Instantly alert, she grabs her weapon and positions herself. As soon as a man steps off the aircraft, Drasa shoots him in the head without hesitation. At the same time, former Marine sniper Levi jolts awake from a disturbing nightmare. To calm his mind, he spends the day resting at the beach. The following morning, Levi receives a text ordering him to report to the Marine Corps base. Once there, he meets Agent Bartholomew. She is fully aware of his outstanding career as an elite sniper, as well as the fact that he has no close family or personal ties. That's exactly why she is there, to offer him a classified job. Meanwhile, in Lithuania, Drasa visits a cemetery with her father on the anniversary of her mother's death. During the visit, her father reveals devastating news. His cancer is no longer treatable. He calmly explains that if he is not dead by February 14th, he plans to take his own life so he can finally reunite with his wife on Valentine's Day. In September, Levi wakes up inside a plane after being sedated. Confused, he asks a nearby soldier where they are, but she tells him she is not authorized to share that information. She confiscates all of his personal belongings and explains that they are entering a no-fly zone. Levi will need to jump out of the plane and travel the rest of the way on foot. Taking the assigned bag, Levi jumps and waits for the right moment before opening his parachute. He lands safely and begins a long, exhausting journey involving climbing, trekking, and camping across dangerous terrain. Eventually, Levi reaches the edge of a massive gorge. There, he encounters a soldier named JD, who has been stationed there for over a year and still has no idea where they are. Together, they travel to the West Tower, a fully self-sufficient facility powered by solar panels, a backup generator, a rain collection system, a vegetable garden, and abundant wild game for hunting. On the opposite side of the gorge stands the East Tower, but communication with the guards stationed there is strictly forbidden. The gorge itself is sealed with landmines and tactical barriers to the north and south, making crossing impossible. As JD shows Levi around, he explains the mission in detail. Every day, Levi must patrol the western rim, restock ammunition and automated gun turrets placed every 600 meters, inspect the containment fence, suspended mines, and cloakers, devices that send false signals to satellites, keeping the gorge hidden from the outside world. Radio check-ins occur every 30 days, but there is no way to communicate beyond that. In case of an emergency, a panic button can activate the stray dog protocol, though JD admits he has no idea what it does and advises Levi to run if it ever happens. JD explains that the gorge has been hidden since the Cold War. Decades ago, military forces from multiple nations agreed to keep it secret, so much so that even presidents and heads of state are unaware of its existence. Levi's mission is simple: prevent anything inside the gorge from escaping. JD admits he once thought the assignment was nonsense until he saw creatures the guards call the Hollow Men, whose screeches can still be heard echoing from below. In the late 1940s, 3 horseback battalions were sent into the gorge to eliminate whatever was inside, but none of them returned. Since then, containment has been the only option. After finishing his briefing, JD leaves the tower and hikes to the extraction point. A helicopter lifts him off the ground using a rope. A soldier asks for his identity, and once JD gives the correct password, the soldier shoots him in the head and drops his body into the mountains below. A month later, Levi settled into the monotonous routine. He patrols the perimeter, maintains the security systems, and performs his scheduled radio check-ins. The voice on the other end only asks if everything is fine and disconnects before Levi can ask any questions. One day, while tending the garden, Levi notices movement on the opposite tower. He grabs his binoculars and sees Drasa cutting wood. She notices him as well, but chooses to ignore him. One night, during a storm, Levi is jolted awake by another nightmare. He breaks a glass and momentarily believes he's under attack, grabbing his gun in panic.
When pain shoots through his foot, he realizes he stepped on the glass and calms down. As he cleans the wound, he notices Drasa is still awake, watching him from afar. When she realizes he sees her too, she quietly goes back to bed. Another month passes, and Drasa spends her birthday all alone. Bored and frustrated, she fires a shot to get Levi's attention and holds up a sign asking for his name. Levi responds that they're not supposed to communicate. Drasa writes her name and adds that it's her birthday and she'll do whatever she wants. Amused, Levi writes back his name and raises a glass in a silent toast. Drasa then blasts loud music and dances, encouraging Levi to join in. He responds that he's a terrible dancer, but an excellent sniper. Drasa challenges him by shooting his water bottle. Levi quickly shoots her bottle in return. She places another bottle on her head to continue the game, but suddenly freezes when she notices movement in the gorge. Levi looks down and sees humanoid creatures made of wood climbing the gorge walls. Levi immediately shoots one, causing it to fall onto a mine and explode, taking several climbers with it. More creatures continue climbing, and Levi and Drasa work together, firing their weapons to stop them. After they believe the threat is over, one creature reaches Drasa's balcony. She shoots it several times before kicking it off. Soon, more monsters begin climbing on her side. Another explosion sends debris flying, injuring Drasa's shoulder. When creatures begin climbing both sides simultaneously, Levi and Drasa activate machine guns and additional mines, wiping out the attackers. The next morning, Drasa treats her wound and tells Levi it was the best birthday she had ever had. Levi descends to repair the damage and replace the mines. Suddenly, a drone flies out of the gorge and disappears. In December, Levi decorates a tree with lice to simulate a Christmas tree and puts up a sign for Drasa. From then on, they share activities from afar, building snowmen with each other's names, playing chess, and drumming on pots. On February 14th, Levi sees Drasa crying in front of a family photo. She admits she had a hard day and wishes he could be with her. Using tools from the armory, Levi builds a device and fires a rocket across the gorge. It lodges in a tree and starts a fire, but Drasa extinguishes it and discovers a rope attached. She secures the rope and returns to her tower, where Levi invites her to dinner. Levi slides across the rope but gets stuck halfway. Using his gloves, he manages to pull himself across and reaches Drasa's tower. He gives her flowers, and she jokingly complains about his smell, suggesting a shower. While she washes, Drasa swaps his uniform for clean clothes left behind by a former occupant. Over dinner, they discuss their lives as mercenaries and the mental toll of their work. They dance together and eventually sleep together. The next morning, Levi begins sliding back to his tower when the Hollow Men trigger a mine, causing an explosion that severs the rope. Levi falls and deploys his parachute. Drasa grabs weapons and a parachute and jumps after him.
Drasa crashes into the river after jumping into the gorge. When she reaches the surface, her parachute becomes trapped on a rock. Realizing the current is pulling her under, she cuts it loose to save herself. However, in the chaos, the auto-ascender she would need to climb back up is torn away and carried downstream. The river continues to drag her body violently, smashing her against rocks, until she manages to grab onto exposed tree roots and pull herself onto land. At the same time, Levi is unconscious, hanging from a tree high above the ground, tangled in his parachute lines. Suddenly, one of the branches near him begins to move. What he thought was part of the tree reveals itself to be a creature. As it approaches, Levi wakes up and instinctively opens fire, while desperately freeing himself from the ropes. He loses his grip and falls, landing in what looks like thick mud. Almost immediately, the ground beneath him begins to move. Levi realizes too late that the mud is actually the mouth of a massive creature. The sticky substance tightens around his body as the mouth slowly begins to close, trapping him completely. Just as he's about to be consumed, gunfire erupts. Drasa, having heard the shots, arrives and unloads her weapon into the creature, forcing it to release Levi and saving his life. After cutting the remaining adhesive substance off Levi's body with a knife, the two regroup and begin moving through the forest, trying to find the rope that once connected the towers. As they travel, they hear screeching in the distance. Moments later, two hollow men appear, mounted on horses that also look like twisted trees. The riders attack with swords, and one leaps from his horse directly onto Drasa. She stabs it in the neck, shoots it in the face, and kills it. The second rider uses a whip to disarm Levi, but Levi draws his sidearm and shoots both the rider and the horse. Searching her pack, Drasa realizes the auto-ascender is gone, meaning they have no way to climb back up the gorge walls. Since they're trapped at the bottom, she suggests following the river, believing it must eventually lead somewhere. While examining one of the fallen hollow men, Levi notices the remains of a very old military uniform. That's when he realizes the truth. The hollow men are the missing horseback battalions sent into the gorge decades ago. As they move deeper into the forest, they encounter hundreds of skeletons scattered along the path. Eventually, they reach an abandoned town completely overtaken by mutated vegetation. The ground shows signs of severe damage, suggesting a powerful earthquake occurred here. Hearing screeching approaching, they hide inside a church where they find skeletons seated in the pews. Levi recognizes the smell of cyanide, realizing the people inside ended their lives rather than live trapped in this place. Suddenly, a massive spider drops from the ceiling and attacks Drasa. She pushes it away, but falls, only to see another spider approaching. She stabs it just as two more attack Levi. Soon, spiders swarm the church. Levi and Drasa fight together, firing until Drasa runs out of ammunition. Levi covers her while she reloads. Just as they attempt to escape, hollow men burst inside, forcing them to fight both threats at once. Drasa smashes a head against a table and throws it aside, causing spiders to climb over it. Levi struggles in close combat, but manages to shoot several enemies. Then Drasa fires a grenade into the back wall, blowing a hole large enough for them to escape. They flee through the forest, but the screeching follows them. Seeking cover, they discover an old hidden door leading into an underground facility. Inside, they realize it was once a military laboratory, now overtaken by plant life. Drasa activates a generator, and Levi finds a recording. The footage reveals that in 1946, a coalition of nations conducted secret biochemical weapons research here. An earthquake caused a chemical leak that merged with local DNA, mutating everything it touched. Prolonged exposure transformed the scientists themselves. Because the lab was located deep within the gorge, the toxin never spread to the outside world. In another room, Levi finds a computer from the late 2000s, proving the experiments continued long after the initial disaster. The facility belongs to Dark Lake, a private paramilitary corporation. The drone they saw earlier was collecting samples for super soldier experiments. Levi also learns the truth behind the stray dog protocol. It's a nuclear bomb designed to sterilize the entire area if containment fails. As they prepare to leave, Levi tells Drasa that the mission was worth it because it brought him to her. They throw a smoke grenade and step outside, but suddenly a hollow man's whip coils around Drasa's ankle and drags her violently into the forest. Levi follows the trail and eventually finds the nuclear facility where Drasa has been captured and tortured. Drasa fights back relentlessly, using whatever she can find: bones, fire, and sheer determination. The hollow man overpowers her repeatedly, even using a living snake embedded in his chest to attack. Drasa kills the snake, weakens the creature with fire, and holds on just long enough for Levi to arrive and shoot it dead. Levi recognizes the uniform on the creature. It belonged to the first guard from his tower. The truth is now undeniable. The hollow men were once guards, slowly transformed. They continue forward, crossing the original leak site where countless bodies are fused into living toxic matter. Creatures awaken as they cross. Levi cuts through roots with the hollow man's sword, while Drasa throws a grenade, igniting the entire structure. Flames spread rapidly as they barely escape. They find military jeeps and attempt to climb back up using a rope. Hollow men attack during the ascent. Levi punctures the fuel tank and ignites it, killing the attackers, but destroying the jeep. Injured, they climb the remaining distance and return to the towers. After quarantining themselves, they decide to destroy the gorge for good.
Levi tells Drassa he loves her before he returns to his tower. The next day, Levi's radio check-in is intercepted by Keegan Bartholomew. She knows the lab computer was activated and orders Levi to kill the guard in the opposite tower. Levi pretends to accept, but Bartholomew already knows both soldiers were involved and sends a team to the Gorge. As Drassa writes, "I love you back," helicopters and drones arrive. Levi and Drassa flee, shooting down drones and destroying the cloakers. This exposes the Gorge, triggering the stray dog protocol. The nuclear bomb detonates, destroying the Gorge and killing Bartholomew's team. Levi is thrown into a river and disappears. Drassa survives and waits for Levi. After a month with no sign of Levi, she leaves. Later, in France, Drassa is working as a waitress when she looks up and sees Levi sitting at a table. He survived. The two reunite, finally free.